Welcome to this week's virtual town hall for the Springs Living Communities. Thank you for joining me. I'm Fee Stubblefield. This week we want to follow up on our last conversation really about the Great Reset and what that means through workforce challenges and supply chain issues and how that impacts you. And today I've got two special guests with me. Brenda Connolly, our Chief Operating Officer, who you've seen quite often and know well. And then also today, I thought I'd ask Molly Vaughn, who is our Chief Financial Officer, to join us to really talk about the financial impacts of COVID, the workforce challenges, the Great Reset, and its impact on our organization and also you too. But before we get to Molly and Brenda, I want to offer a couple of thoughts around some of the great opportunities that I see out there. You know, the Springs Living was founded to solve a problem. It started with solving a problem for our family and has become an organization that's dedicated to solving problems for your families. One of the things that COVID has given us is the silver lining is this great opportunity to evolve and to make things better and to make life better. And you've got our assurances that we're dedicated to that. Yes, we're dealing with labor shortages and it's impacting us. Yes, we're dealing with supply chain issues and it's impacting us. The current surge in the Delta and the MU variants right now is causing people to pause and hunker down a little bit more for a period of time, but this will end and we will continue to get back to normal. I think what we're seeing in the communities, I'm very encouraged by. I'm encouraged by the rise in our occupancy and people moving into the communities. I'm encouraged by the dedicated staff that we have that are doing a great job and that are committed in taking care of residents. Sure, we've got some challenges, but the sun will come up tomorrow and there's a bright future ahead. So with those thoughts, I'd kind of like to bring in Molly right now to talk about some of the impacts that supply chain issues and workforce and COVID in general is having on the financial results of the organization. Molly, can you tell me about the trends and what's happened in our stabilized communities, those meaning communities that aren't brand new and just opened up new construction buildings? What's really happened with those communities over the last 18 to 24 months as far as occupancy, and where are we now?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are two charts on the screen. The top chart represents our occupancy trend for our stabilized communities. And you can see prior to the pandemic, our occupancy was around 95%. Our occupancy fell about 9% from February 2020 to January of this year. That was the lowest point of occupancy that we've experienced throughout the entire pandemic. Since January of this year, we've recovered about 6% of our occupancy. We ended quarter one around 86% and quarter two around 88%. We currently sit at about 91.6% occupancy for our stabilized portfolio. So we've definitely recovered steadily across our stabilized portfolio. Just one more thing on the bottom graph, you'll see our lease-up communities have gained about 44% in occupancy over the last year, which is really quite impressive for all those communities that we've opened or expanded over the last year and a half.
And Molly, so while we know that the revenue's been down because of the occupancy, expenses have also been up. And there has been some governmental support through the CARES Act and other features in states that have helped reimburse us for certain COVID-related expenses. Not 100%, but it's certainly appreciated and been helpful. But to get these programs and access these funds, can you give us a little bit of insight into what your team has gone through? Because a lot of people think about the incredible dedication that our employees have done in the communities and what they've done. But I think that people haven't seen what goes on behind the scenes. And can you tell us, your accounting and finance staff, what you guys have had to do to really keep track of all of this and how much work that is above and beyond your normal day jobs?
Yeah, that's a great question, Fee. I don't think that prior to the pandemic, myself or our accounting finance teams or business office managers within communities would have expected to be tracking, applying for, reconciling, reporting on any sort of federal or state COVID relief dollars. But we're doing it and everybody's jumped in and done an amazing job. We've applied for and secured about $2.5 million of COVID relief funds. Our teams are working really hard to adhere to various reporting requirements, reconciliations, that are attached to these dollars. So we're working very collaboratively across functions, as well as with third-party tax advisors to ensure that we stay in compliance with the COVID relief dollars and programs.
Yeah, they're a special group. There's no doubt that they've made a big impact and made things better at the community level as we try to maximize the resources that we can get out there through programs. And I gotta say, having the support of your team to make sure that we're getting every available dollar of support that's out there from governmental agencies has been very, very key in controlling our costs and reimbursing. So thank you. So Molly, now let's get to the question on everybody's mind. How will this great reset, the inflation in labor, the inflation around food services and other products, the investments that we're making into technology, whether it's the robots or environmental technology, how will all this impact me? How will this impact each resident out there? And what's it going to do to the rents?
Yeah, that's a great question, Fee. Well, first, I want to start by saying that we prioritize being responsible stewards of the company's finances. We faced some challenges with this pandemic, right? One, the amount that we've invested in PPE, supplies, testing to keep staff and residents safe is substantial and continues to be substantial. Number two, we've invested more in our staff. We've had to increase our wages due to many workforce challenges. And really three, we've had to increase our investment in operating expenses and facility costs due to rising prices and supply chain issues. At this point, we anticipate that our occupancy recovery will pace ahead of our financial recovery as we work to reduce and stabilize expenses well into next year. And as the pandemic continues to wear on, we anticipate that larger rent increases may become necessary in the months ahead. But our goal is to keep rent increases as low as possible while balancing the investment required to deliver quality service to our residents.
Molly, I know that you and your team have done a great job of stewarding our resources, and we just appreciate everything you're doing to keep the costs down and keep the pressure on rents as low as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Bea.
Now I want to go to Brenda Connolly, our Chief Operating Officer, and ask Brenda some questions about what's going on out there in the communities and what we're seeing the impacts in COVID and workforce issues. You're familiar with Brenda. She's been with us for a very long time. Brenda, welcome today. And my first question is, what are you seeing out there? What are the communities in general experiencing around COVID, the Delta, and then the MU variant? Can you give us a little bit of insight, please?
Well, we continue to focus our attention on mitigating the workforce and supply chain challenges through a variety of tactics. And just like every other industry, we're experiencing labor strains. And through that, our number one focus has remained on retention. We want to keep the great people that we have right now. And we're excited to be announcing 62 scholarships have been awarded for continuing education for our staff and their family members. We have paid sabbaticals that serve as a reward to our staff who have been working so hard. And our home office staff has also been filling in at communities to help offer the staff some time off to rest. And we often hear from residents and families, well, what can we do to help? Well, you as residents and family members can continue to support our staff by sharing kudos messages. There are cards available at the front desk and stations throughout the community. And a kind word, a message of appreciation goes a long way. You can even email it to us and we'll be sure it gets to the right person. On the recruitment side, we're taking pretty aggressive marketing action on that front. We have brand new social media ads, networking and hiring events are occurring across all of our communities. And we're also offering a referral bonus program for employees, hoping that we can refer in friends that they have to come in and work in our communities as well. And we're truly calling on anyone involved with the Springs Living to assist with our recruitment efforts. So if you or someone you know is interested in working with us, please share our contact information with them. teamsprings@thespringsliving.com. We're also continuing to adapt our operations to create greater efficiency and respond to the supply chain challenges that we've spoken about. You've likely noticed some menu adjustments, as well as a few of our communities have experienced an exciting new addition, robots. We're partnering with a company called Bear Robotics and piloting a program in which select communities right now are using robots to augment our servers' work. And so far, the resident feedback is very positive about how it's improving the service time, enhancing temperature, and the freshness of the meal. We're looking forward to having those in many, many more communities as we continue to see the value that is added.
Brenda, thank you. That's very helpful information. I also want to congratulate you and everybody that works at the Springs Living on being ranked in the top 10 in the nation with Fortune Magazine's Great Places to Work. That's a huge accomplishment, especially during the challenging period of time that we've had over the last 18 months. Can you tell us a little bit about that and maybe give everybody some insight and why we think this is important, and really the methodology around why we do it? Because it's important that we let everybody know why we're participating in these things and how we got ranked.
Well, for the past 2 years, we've participated in an employee survey process, primarily to obtain the valuable feedback we need as an employer to tell us how we're doing and provide us with ideas on what we can do better, listening directly to the employees' feedback. And as an outcome of that, they've actually taken our employees' feedback and ranked us against other senior living operators across the country. And despite all the challenges, we're encouraged to recently learn that the Springs Living is ranked on Fortune Magazine's top 10 list of best workplaces for aging services. Now, we aren't chasing awards or rankings. It's great to have that, as a part of the process, but at the same time, what we know is the key to a quality community experience for each of you is only possible by finding and retaining the very best staff. And we have to have a supportive culture for them in order to retain the best staff. And so this process helps us do that. We hire the best people based on values and continue to do so by not settling just to fill the job openings. And so what our goal is with this process is just to keep improving every year, continue to listen to the feedback of our valuable team members, and hopefully we can continue to create that company that we've all wanted to work for, because that's the key, again, to the best possible community experience. So with that, back to you, Fee.
Brenda, you and I have worked together for a lot of years, and you know my philosophy. We don't go after these awards to win these awards, to let somebody else say that we're number one. We value the job that we're doing based on each of our employees' feedback, but also each resident that's out there. What the Great Places to Work has really done from my perspective is it really gives us great insight into the challenges that our workforce is facing today. And as a large employer in Oregon and Montana, it's our obligation to understand the challenges that our workforce is having and to help provide solutions to support them in their lives so that they can support each of our residents in their lives. Brenda, once again, thank you for joining us. Great information. We appreciate you very much. And everybody, thank you for joining this town hall. One of the silver linings of this pandemic is the fact that we've increased our communication, which increases understanding and effectiveness. And our whole goal here is to create an environment that you can live your lives well, and also for our employees so that they can live their lives well, see their dreams come true, and that we can together, working together, helping each other, have a great organization and environment. Thank you very much for joining me. Look forward to seeing you out there. Be well.